Today's episode of the Star Local Media High School Sports Podcast is brought to you by Poor Richard's Cafe and Star Local Media. Poor Richard's Cafe, Plano's oldest restaurant since 1973. They are open daily from 5:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., serving the three most important meals of the day: breakfast, lunch, and dessert. It is true Texas home-style cooking made with love and grit. That is Poor Richard's Cafe, located off of Avenue K in Plano. Welcome to another episode of the Star Local Media High School Sports Podcast. My name is Matt Welsh. I'm the sports editor at Star Local Media, and I am being joined by Kendrick Johnson and Devin Hassan. You know, guys, we have spent all year talking about just your team sports, your standings-based sports, your footballs, volleyballs, basketballs, soccer, baseball, and softball. This right now, though, is, I think, bar none, the busiest time of year for us as far as high school sports coverage goes. You know, because even though the podcast might be dominated by soccer talk and baseball and softball, we right now have track, tennis, and golf all in their respective postseasons. And I mean, last week we had every one of those sports going on at once. I mean, it made for some hectic hours last week. But nevertheless, yeah, we're going to, I guess, shine some light on some of those the more solo sports for the springtime. Talk some track, talk some golf, talk some tennis, some of the sports that we don't necessarily get to devote a ton of time to on the podcast. And of those sports, you know, track certainly has a ton of fanfare around it this time of year. The state meet, as you can attest, you were there a couple of years ago, Kendrick. State meet is always a happening time down in Austin. So the district meets are, for the most part, are in the books. I mean, I know you got districts like, I think 6A is running theirs actually this weekend, part of it. So, but nevertheless, yeah. So we all got to see our, several of our schools last week in the district meets. So let's just talk some observations, as we always tend to have a pretty lively turnout from our markets at the state track meet. Devin, you were out covering the happenings out in District 11 6A. Certainly, always a happening time for Mesquite ISD. So just kind of what were some of the big takeaways from what happened at the 11 6A meet?
Well, it was a fun one. In terms of the team competition, Mesquite on the boys' side, it came down to the final event for the second straight year, and in the 4x4, Mesquite catches Horn in that race and catches them in the standings to win. But and people don't focus on this area in terms of as a track and field hotbed, but just the teams that I've covered in recent years have had some of the best sprinters in the state. I mean, with Joseph Sheffield out at Rowlett, and Nick Alexander and Devin Duvernay at Saxby, and Kaylor Harris at Horn, who not only won the 100 hurdles, which is a tough feat. So we've had a lot of great sprinters, and that's just in the last couple of years. And over at Horn, Caleb Boger, he could be the next in that group. Won comfortably in the 100 meters and in the 200 meters. 10.45 in the 100. It's not among the fastest, but he didn't really have to exert himself either. It was one of those, hey, just let's get through to this next one. I think he's kind of one of those that's going to peak as they go on. But he also, I guess that Mesquite 4x2 is an interesting group. Caleb Boger runs the anchor there with Jakinnon Moore, Robert Davis, Devin Davis. That group won that race by a full 2 seconds. So Mesquite has got some sprinters. They've got some speed. We'll see what happens at the area meet here in a couple weeks. Couple other things to watch on the boys' side. Quajon Fuller, who won the 400 for Horn last year, did so again on Friday night in pretty dominant fashion. He's a kid that I think will make it to the regionals and could make a run at state. On the girls' side, Latasha Jackson in the 200 and 400. This is a girl who, as a sophomore, ran with that powerhouse relay group that I mentioned earlier with Kaylor Harris, that had the fastest time in the nation and won gold in Austin. But she's flying solo in the 200 and 400, but very solid times in both. Look for her to be a contender to get to state. And the Mesquite girls 4x200 won very easily by 4 seconds out there. This is a group.
That was very comfy.
Yeah, and I mean, this is group Destiny Lawrence, Jennifer Godfrey, Cassandra Njoku. They all went to state last year on the 4x200. They graduated Daja Wheeler. They added Diamond Presley Hill. They've seen even better times this year. So I believe they finished 7th last year, so they were off the medal stand. But with 3 of those 4 girls back, and with the times they've been posting, I think there's several Mesquite ISD 6A contenders to get to state. We'll learn a lot more about 10 6A later today, because they are one of the late districts to run. Rowlett had a pair of relays make the state tournament last year. Jerry Evans and Lance Canyon returned to that 4x4 this year. Saxe's had some nice stories throughout the year. People sometimes use Texas relays as a barometer. If you're a state contender, they go to the Texas relays. Mm-hmm. Well, Jacoby Jones in the pole vault, Cameron Quinn in the 100, Braylon Brooks in the long jump. They all competed down in Austin a couple weeks ago, so that's obviously their eye in states, as well as Ryan Jones, who set a school record in the discus. So again, we'll learn a lot more about this group later on today, but several state contenders at the 6A level.
I hadn't seen the guys from our level in track, but I saw them in football. Jerry Evans went back the first kickoff return at MISD history. He went like 91 yards, and he didn't make a single move. He just a straight run, and then you look on his Twitter, catch me on the track running 4 3s. Yeah, he's legitimately fast. That guy can fly.
Yeah, and he's a multi-event kid too.
I was I was out at the District 9 6A track meet, and one thing, these meets are so long.
12 hours.
Oh yeah. I was there from the very start. They got things rolling at around 11 a.m. or whatnot, and yeah, I mean but I don't know. I like track. That was my spring sport in high school when I wasn't playing basketball, so I don't know. I dig track. So, but nevertheless, the big story coming away from the District 9 6A meet was the resurgence of the Plano East track program, especially on the boys' side. The boys won their first district title since 2011. And they led wire to wire during the running finals. And you look at kind of where they kind of paved their road to victory, and it's a very familiar formula when you look at how Plano East has fared in the past. They dominate those sprints. They got some speed over at Plano East. They have for years, thinking all the way back to the days when you had Jennifer Madu and Madison Hanson on the girls' side. I mean, Jennifer Madu almost won a state title for the entire team by herself, almost did. And then Corey Bassett, Chris Entry on the boys' side. Plano East always has strong sprints, and they have really kind of boosted back up in that area in recent years. And you look at guys who are chiefly responsible for that, like Tyler Owens, Trey Jones Scott. Those two guys respectively won the 100 and the 200. Plus, were part of the two victorious 4x1 and 4x2 relays. With Owens, Owens is on that short list of names that you really got to seriously monitor as far as being on that state championship radar. He has I believe the nation's number 3 time in the 100 per athletic.net. This didn't come out of nowhere. He was tearing it up last season too, but he had a bit of an injury late in the season that kind of held him back in the postseason. But he has been dominating this this season. And that was the 100 on the boys' side was kind of the marquee event heading into the district meet last week, because it was going to be Owens versus Kyron Cumbie over at Plano. Two of the fastest kids in the state.
Saw them on Friday nights.
Yeah, they were. Oh yes, and Kyron Cumbie, he made it to state last year. But Owens, with just the momentum that Owens has had, it was just fascinating to see the first of what will hopefully be several encounters between those two during the postseason. Owens got the better of Cumbie in that one, and then Trey Jones Scott won the 200, also beating Kyron Cumbie, which again, no small feat, because Kyron Cumbie is one of the fastest human beings I've ever seen at the high school level. But just seeing those relays, because Plano East won both of them in fairly convincing fashion, and with Owens being the anchor of that, it feels like if Plano East has a lead after that, heading into that anchor leg, that it's over. Because it just seems, Owens is just so difficult to catch in that final during that home stretch, such a great straight line runner. And he had a standout meet. The entire program did. You look at one thing that's also neat to see is for track, like the programs that prioritize getting their football players involved, and you look at that sprint relay for Plano East, you had Braylon Henderson, Trey Jones Scott, Josh Allison, Tyler Owens, all standouts from the football team. But yes, Plano East was able to rack up a district title. They almost had a sweep, because the Plano East girls were actually in position to potentially win it in their side, and then Allen mounted a furious comeback over the last 4 races. Allen won 3 of the final 4, including the 4x4 relay, which that is no small feat too, considering that meant beating McKinney Boyd. McKinney Boyd had, I guess, the top time in the region in that event heading into the meet, and then Allen was able to piece together a strong anchor leg by freshman Favor Ekinyanwu, a last name that is very synonymous with success in the 400 and when it comes to Allen track. That's a young relay for Allen too. Their head coach afterwards was telling me that they've got 3 freshmen on that relay. So to be able to come through in that moment and really just kind of put an exclamation point on their comeback. They were trailing East in the standings, I want to say by as many as 31 points. And they just chipped away there. And then from the 200 on, it was just a great closing stretch for Allen, who wins its second district title in 3 years. Some other notable takeaways from that, you had Prosper had a really strong showing on the girls' side. Whereas Allen and Plano East are kind of the story of this one. They were the only schools that had both the boys and the girls teams break 100 points. Both of them, I should say. You had Prosper girls also cracked 100, and they had some really significant performances in their own right, including one from a freshman in the 1600, Aubrey O'Connell. It really jumped out at me because you have Aubrey O'Connell going up against Ashlyn Hilliard with Plano, who's one of the top distance runners in the state. She won a state championship in cross country this past, and she won the 3200 earlier in the meet, and is a strong runner in the 1600 as well. O'Connell was kind of in the lead most of the way, and then you could see Hilliard start to kind of chip away and close in on her over that last lap, and then O'Connell just pulls away for the home stretch and even laps a girl before crossing the finish line. Just a freshman, so just a very, very impressive performance by her. And then you had McKinney Boyd, Kendrick, which we can now segue into some more McKinney talk. Just for whatever reason, Boyd always seems to be strong in those mid-distance runs, the 400 especially. So we talked earlier. The 4x4 relay is kind of their signature event. It has been for a while. But then you look at Charlie Bartholomew and Kalea Ali, they both won the 400. So McKinney Boyd once again thriving in those mid-distance runs. And then obviously when you think McKinney ISD track and field, it starts with McKinney North though. McKinney North, probably, I would say pound for pound, that has been the most successful program, at least in recent years, of any that we cover.
Props to Coach Jessica Richards, not one but 2 state titles. And last year was supposed to have been a transition year and they got state runner-up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. a solid run that North is in the midst of right now. And the Bulldogs, both boys and girls, took care of business over in the 10-5A meet, just kind of talking about where North is at right now heading into the postseason.
Just like you said, dominance. Try this on for dominance. The boys won their 8th consecutive district title, and the girls won their 6th consecutive district title.
That is consistency.
And the thing is, Coach Richards and Coach Melvin Crosby on the boys' side, they always do with the cast of characters that they change it up, but it's crazy. They keep everything balanced. Like they always have somebody coming through the pipeline through the sprints. Like on the girls' side, they lost Janiyah Martin, who's running at A&M, and Julia Montebuque the year before, who's running at A&M, who just won the Big 12 championship.
Oh, yeah.
And they replaced her with a girl named Brooke Givens. Brooke won the 100 and the 200. Where you find people like that just laying around? I think she's a junior, so she's got a couple years. Yeah. When you run in 23.7s and 11.7s, you got a shot to get to Austin, especially in this region. And then, of course, she's got London Colbert. Everybody, if you don't know this lady, Google her on YouTube.
You'll find plenty of videos.
She has never lost a race. Yeah. She's going on her 3rd year. I would consider her the best long distance runner in the state, and she's one of the top in the nation. She's won the 65 meets and counting, and she currently has the 3,200 state record for any classification in the state. And you know how your time's kind of like, how they, I guess they call it in track, stretching it out. So I guess you're not running your best in district. She ran a 5:03 mile. Wow. So we're just warming up. That's just warming up. God. And then her time for the 3,200 was 11:10, just warming up. So you got people like that to build around. And then on the boys' side, props to Noah Ford. He's the guy that came on during football season. I covered the North program. I had never heard of him. He kind of came out the blue. This man took home the high jump. He was on one of the relay teams. He won the 110 meters. Wow. He put in some work.
How to see, when you're excelling in both relays, a hurdle and a high, that's why, you don't see too many athletes that can split their dominance across that.
Yeah, that kind that's the type of athletes that McKinney North's working with, but that region that they're in is definitely going to be tough, but I expect to see quite a few Bulldogs and Lady Bulldogs in Austin this year once again. You can't see the foundation already.
Also on the 5A level, Devin, I know you got some fun happenings over at a couple of your other Mesquite schools.
Yeah, real briefly, at West Mesquite and Poteet, they've been dealt some bad realignment hands in terms of certain sports. It's like when you go talk to somebody, the golf coach or the tennis coach, and you've got in the same district as Highland Park, they just go, what are you going to do? Well, in track, it's Lancaster. Yeah. So, it's, this is since 2000, Lancaster, the boys and girls have combined for 18 state championships. And they're just so deep and they're so good. And, again, they ran away with the district title again. But the thing about going against such a heavyweight is you may finish second at district, and you may be the second fastest in the region because Lancaster's got that kind of quality of athletes. So, no shame in finishing second or third in district to some of these Lancaster kids because they do it every year. West Mesquite's got a couple of interesting sprinters. Amaya Jackson Clark won the 100. Ty Jordan finished second in the 100, and he's part of that 4x100 along with DeQuez Henderson, Jamal Clemens, Aaron Lowe, that went a very close race against Lancaster. I think those sprinters have a chance to make some noise in terms of going forward. And then for Poteet, a couple athletes to watch that actually made it to the state tournament last year by Wynn.
Of course, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, she made it in the shot put, just barely missed out on the discus. She's really been rolling this season so far. I think she's, is a favorite to make it back in the shot put, but I think she legitimately has a good case to make it in both this year. And Dorian Morris is really the curious one to watch. He finished second in the 400 last year at state, but he's been banged up all season. And he's not really had a chance to race here until the last couple weeks. He finished third at district to get through, but his time was 50.20. Keep in mind he ran a 4.799 at state last year. So his health, he's got a couple weeks to rest before the area, or a week to rest before the area meet. Again, he's riding into form. I'm not sure how healthy he is, but he was a guy kind of looking at the preseason based on what he did last year. That was a medal stand contender once again, and maybe take that next step to earn gold. So hopefully Dorian's health is, he's getting healthy at the right time, and if you can make that jump from district to area in terms of dropping time, that means he's getting healthier and has a good chance to get back to Austin.
That is some track talk. Obviously, we're still just getting rolling. We got tennis, we have golf still on the docket. But speaking of track, that is a nice way to segue for our student athlete spotlight. I mentioned Plano East and their resurgent season. One of the big reasons why is the presence of Tyler Owens, who's committed to the University of Texas as a football player. He's also one of the top sprinters in the country. Taylor Ragland had a chance to stop by Plano East to talk with Tyler on his standout senior campaign, and we will see what Tyler had to say after a word from this sponsor. Today's podcast is brought to you by Star Local Media. 14 newspapers and websites with a print distribution of 270,000 homes and monthly page views of 600,000 online. Star Local Media, your community voice for news. And now, let's get back to the podcast.
How's it going, everybody? Taylor Ragland out here at Plano East with Plano East senior sprinter Tyler Owens. I guess the obvious question for you is you guys had a really good performance at the district meet. A lot of you football guys out there running track and getting stuff done. You guys won the meet. So, what's kind of the thing you like most about track, and how do you feel like it kind of keeps you in shape in the off season for football?
Well, I really like track because, I get to compete. That's with any sport, but it really helps me with, my speed, developing it, and that really gives me an edge in football. So, I really like it.
What's kind of maybe the main difference, I guess? Obviously, track is straight line and speed and all that kind of stuff. So, when you're out there, getting mentally ready for track and getting mentally ready to run, what's kind of the difference between that and how you get up for football games?
It's really, more taxing on my body because, football is, short bursts. But, while I'm running track, it's you have to maintain that energy for the whole race. And I really think that helps with my bursts, really just, develop my muscles and stuff like that.
You're getting a lot of pub and kind of a lot of hype with track this season. One of the best times in the nation in the 100. Obviously doing well in districts and some pretty high expectations moving forward. But I know that you were kind of hurt toward the end of track season last year. It held you back a little bit. So, how excited are you to kind of be healthy and be running your best and have some high hopes, I guess, heading into area and beyond?
I've always been wanting to have a healthy track season since my sophomore year. I've been getting these little nagging injuries, but this year, I'm really hopeful, because I get to race against some of the fastest people, and I got a taste of that, taste of relays, and I'm really hoping to meet them again, have a better race.
What's kind of your expectation for the rest of the track postseason when you think about kind of your hopes and getting ready for your meets coming up? What's kind of your expectation and goals, and what do you think you can accomplish this year?
Well, I don't plan on losing a race. I just want to win everything I'm in, but I plan on improving my time that is already at. But I just want to keep going up in here.
as far as, you know, kind of your performance so far, we talked about, you know, some really good races, you know, winning pretty much everything through districts and all that good stuff. So, you know, right when you're lining up and getting prepped and getting ready to go for especially the 100, what's kind of going through your mind, and how do you get mentally ready, I guess, right before that gun goes off?
It's really just, you know, preparation throughout the week. But when I'm on the line, it's like that butterfly, especially when I'm on desperation against like fast people like Kyron and from Plano and Matthew Bowman from Houston and stuff like that.
There's a lot of, as I mentioned, a lot of you football guys that run track out here at East. How important is it to you, and how cool is it for you to have a school and an athletics department that really encourages you guys to run track and kind of be well-rounded and play more than one sport?
It's really like a bonus because, I mean, if I didn't have my coaches teach me like about track and stuff, I wouldn't be where I am probably, because track really did get me out there, and it really does help with football.
Yeah, speaking of football, obviously, you know, you're wearing the Texas shirt. You know, a big football future ahead for you. Have you talked to them at all about maybe running in college, or is it going to be football from here on out?
Oh yeah, they definitely talked to me about running track in college. They feel like it helped me just like these coaches here, but I hadn't really decided if I was gonna run. But I mean, it might be fun experience, so I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess moving through, you know, your last season, and like I said, you know, the expectations for track and trying not to drop a race and all that good stuff. What's one thing you feel like, you know, memory-wise or kind of moment-wise that you want to accomplish, and something you can take away as you wrap your East career up?
I like to, you know, make as many memories with my teammates, like winning district. We didn't do that in a minute, so that was a really good, like, really special moment for me and my teammates for our senior year.
Absolutely.
And I just want to keep making moments like that possible.
Absolutely. All right, Tyler, I appreciate it. That's all from out here at Plano East. We'll get back to the podcast, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Tyler Owens for taking the time to chat with Taylor for our Student Athlete Spotlight. And from talking track, let's shift gears and discuss some action on the tennis court, a sport which I'm learning you guys have quite a bit of experience outside of the office playing.
Former Carroll Dragon.
That's right.
Basically Rafael Nadal, and so is JT apparently.
So yeah,
with Joker when I'm on the court.
With all this experience that I got surrounding me, so I'll let you guys kind of pilot the discussion here. But nevertheless, yeah, I just wanted to apprise some folks on just some of the happenings within the high school tennis scene as the spring postseason is underway. Lots of our districts had their district tournaments last week, so we now have the draws for regionals, which takes place in a couple weeks, and then state's like a month after that. That's always kind of confused me how the UIL postseason works, with state being 1 month after regionals. But nevertheless, yeah, we at least do know who is bound for regionals. So JT, you were covering some action at District 66A. Got to see some of your programs with Lewisville ISD and Coppell.
I did.
Squaring off. So yeah, what were just some of the takeaways from how
I'm
that
actually
district
going to
fared?
throw you a curveball and hit on 5A real quick.
Wow, go ahead, man. Wow, I did not see that.
Just wanted to touch on the Colony real quick.
For sure.
I wasn't out there for this one, but they did have a good showing out at the 8-5A tournament. Tate Nelson takes first in boys singles to move on. They have a mixed doubles team of Michael Miltine and Natalie Egger that move on. And then they have a couple doubles teams that finish second, John Canavan and Ben Varghese, and Kayla Russell and Serena Shaw in girls. So they're all going to regionals. I guess one thing I just wanted to note on Tate Nelson, pretty excited for this guy because he finished, won the district championship last year, moves on to regionals and got sick and wasn't able to compete in the regional tournament last year.
That sucks.
So nice for him to be able to win as a senior and get back there and get a chance to compete.
Especially in his last year too.
Yeah, so he'll be back there. I know talking to Coach Turnage, he thought Tate Nelson had a good chance to maybe get out and go to state last year. This year it's a little different region, so he's not really familiar with the opponents quite as much in Region 1, but still sounds like Nelson will have a good chance to maybe make some noise out at regionals and out there in Lubbock, and then get on to state possibly. But yes, 6A, I was out there on Thursday for the championship rounds and everything, and the playbacks and all that stuff. So pretty competitive district, just like in the team portion in the fall, where it was 4 teams that were pretty competitive. It was pretty similar. So you have 3 schools that'll be represented in regionals. 4 teams had players get to the semifinals and move within a match. 5 teams actually. And so you have here's your winners. You have Ryan Mockett from Marcus winning boys singles. You have Coppell's Justin Bone and Andrea Zernick winning boys doubles. Marcus's Crystal Smith wins in girls singles. Coppell's Suzuka Nishino and Ruchika Kawala win in girls doubles. And Coppell also took it in mixed doubles with Clark Parlier and Aishwarya Kanan. Sorry about your first name pronunciation. Aishwarya. I'm doing my best. But yeah, congratulations to all of them getting first. You have a sister tandem or brother and sister tandem from Flower Mound, the Batatellas getting out in mixed doubles, and then Isabella Ditzler and Katie Ruchot in mixed doubles, Evie Jones in girls singles from Hebron, and Hunter Ebler and John Pfeiffer from Flower Mound in boys doubles. And don't want to leave out Coppell's Matthew Abbey getting second in boys singles. So lots of representation from all over the board there. Ryan Mockett has a chance to really do something at regionals. He's ranked in the top 5 in the state individually. This is his first time getting out of district, actually, because the last couple of years they were with some really tough opponents from Southlake. So, really talented player. Just kind of hit some bad draws in the past couple of years, but he is moving on to regionals. Really didn't have any trouble at district. I think the most games he lost in a set was I think he went 0-0, 0-0, and then won in the finals 6-2, 6-1. So he's rolling pretty good, and he's one to really kind of keep an eye on out there in at regionals out at Arlington Tennis Center.
Okay. Brian, over in Frisco ISD, obviously Frisco ISD always has a fairly lively tennis scene at this juncture of the season. Plus, I know Little Elm's got a pretty nice little standout player of their own. So just, what are some, early observations on how the tennis postseason is unfolding in your area?
So in the girls singles, girls and boys doubles, and then mixed doubles, Frisco is so well represented that a different school won in all 5 of those events. Wow. And so 5 different schools will have players, tennis players at the regionals. Kara Burns, she won the girls singles for Wakeland. Nathan Cern, I'm going to not try and butcher these names also. Lebanon Trail, good showing boys singles. As Asia Thagard and Jordan Lee, they won the girls doubles at Centennial. Sarvesh Ram and Yatin Pokul won the boys doubles at Liberty. Liberty's been traditionally good year in and year out. And then at Reedy, Chloe Dix, a familiar name. She's been regional bound the last 2 years in some capacity. This year she's headed in mixed doubles with Pranav Jagannathan. There we go. I think that's right there. Sorry. Sorry, Pranav.
I really should have just issued a disclaimer at the start of this, just to apologize for all of the butchered names.
I've yet to meet you guys. I'm sure I'll meet y'all soon, but we'll get those.
Yes, we apologize
we'll
for
get
any
those
names
down.
that are mispronounced.
But yeah, the depth of Frisco ISD in full display. Shout out to Wakeland, Lebanon Trail, Centennial, Liberty, and Reedy. Lebanon Trail, we'll talk about it later, how in golf they had a good showing with the girls golf winning the district title. And it's the same, with boys and girls tennis, really, with plenty of people heading to regionals there. So Lebanon Trail, strong golf or strong tennis program in the making. They don't have seniors, just like in any other sport. So future's bright for Lebanon Trail as well. And then you alluded to Little Elm. There's death, there's taxes, and there's Ali Zim making it to at least regionals. Those are 3 constants in life, and she's once again, headed to the regional tournament in tennis. She made it to state her sophomore and junior seasons. She had an intense showdown with a freshman from Denton Braswell, and she was down in those matches. And from what I've told, I have a friend who coaches at Braswell. He says that Denton Braswell girl is a stud. She's going to be, something to mess with, not someone to mess with, I should say, in the near future. But Ali Zim was able to come back and beat her to punch her ticket to regionals. So she's nice and battle tested. Headed to regionals. Hopefully a 3rd consecutive trip to state is in line for Ali at Little Elm.
And for my, I had a really busy week last week. I was covering a little bit of all these things, but I did Wednesday morning. I did make some time to stop by Collin College for the finals for the District 9 6A tennis tournament. District 9 6A. When you think of just tennis in my neck of the woods, Allen and Plano West are 2 of the most credentialed programs in the Metroplex. West is. They're always making deep playoff runs, and sure enough, they always tend to have some.
I know my teams are happy to see them in region this year.
They certainly will clog up some spots at the regional tournament. The first thing that you notice when you get there for the finals of the District 9 6A tournament, of the 5 divisions, 4 of them were teammate versus teammate matches.
Wow.
And that is such a, like, it happens, you get maybe 1 or 2 a year and stuff, but to have 4 out of 5, I mean, it speaks to just, I mean, just some of the, again, Allen and Plano West, Allen had, the teammate versus teammate finals in boys singles and girls singles. Plano West had it in boys doubles and, not boys doubles, but just girls doubles. But it is such a weird dynamic when you think of the teammate versus teammate thing, because like you don't really like tennis in the fall, when they have team tennis season. Tennis is kind of a very underrated, like, fun atmosphere during the fall because of just how energized everybody gets when you have the team aspect in play. Everybody, when you finish one match, everybody goes to root on their teammates at another match. It's always cool, like if you ever get a match that comes down to what is it, like 9-9, and you have one last match on the court to determine the overall winner. And you get both teams are just flanking or just surrounding the court, just going nuts after every point. It is a really cool atmosphere. You don't necessarily get that in the spring because it's more about the individuals. But to have that teammate versus teammate dynamic thrown into it, I mean, it was honestly like, it kind of felt a little awkward just being there. Because if you're a coach, you can't really coach during these matches. You can't really, because that's the thing, like coaches are going out in between, sets and stuff and just giving their players as much coaching as they can, just in between, giving them as much advice as they can. But obviously if it's, you have 2 of your players are going against each other, you can't really say anything to like kind of correct their, one's approach versus the other, because you kind of just have to sit back and just be a neutral bystander.
I guess you just got to hope there's no playbacks possible and that both your guys are moving on regardless of the result anyway, I guess. So.
And then in the crowd, like, you can't really, you can't really cheer for one player over the other. You're saying after, like, if there was any like applause or whatever, it was always like directed to both players. Like, good job, you two.
Good rally.
Yeah, I mean, so it was, it just kind of made for a very bizarre dynamic, and there's also like you don't think of just what the action on the court is actually like, because these are players that they see each other every day in practice. This is far from the first time that they've squared off, and like obviously these players are all competitors, and especially when you're going against somebody that you know so well. I mean, one of the coaches I was talking with during the match, he's like, I just hope they can be friends after this.
Well, I know in mine there was a playback between 2 Flower Mound doubles teams, and there was definitely a lot of chit chat and conversation. They didn't seem to. There was no ill will towards each other playing in this one. They were both, one of us is going to move on. Let's just have some fun playing like we always do.
And fortunately for another rarity, there were no playbacks at the district tournament. Wow. So everybody,
mine had playbacks in every match but one.
Oh yeah, talking to another one of the coaches, that was the first time that he can recall that ever happening in the Plano Allen district. And but nevertheless,
maybe your coaches are just better at seeding.
So as far as those who did win district championships, you did have on the singles side, you had Allen, Andrew Swenson, and that was a nice story for him. Very redemptive feeling. He was seeded number 1 in boys singles last year, but was playing injured for the start of the postseason. That kind of caught up to him at the district tournament. Clean bill of health, and he is able to win the boys singles draw this time around. On the girls side, another Allen versus Allen matchup. Elodie Richard winning the district title there, and over in doubles, you had Plano Senior, showing some love. 2 brothers, Andrew and Benjamin McDonald. They get the win in boys doubles. Plano West, Estefania Hernandez and Kylie Shannon, they win girls doubles. And then in mixed doubles, keep an eye on this team, Plano West as well, Caden Mortgat and Emma Jenner, a combined 4 years of state tournament experience between them in the springtime. Emma Jenner, who actually won a state title in the spring as part of girls doubles last year, and I believe made it to the state tournament as a sophomore when she was playing for McKinney Boyd, and then Caden Mortgat has made it to state, his first 2 years of varsity as well. That is a mixed doubles team that has the potential to do some damage. They got a potential to show really well at regionals and get down to College Station. Head coach Morgan Walker said that's kind of what they wanted to. They're going to take aim at trying to win mixed doubles this year. So they put their number 1 boy, number 1 girl, and they just rolled through the district slate. So should be fascinating to see what's in store for Plano West and Allen as well, and Plano. I mean, it's a district that tends to fare pretty well at regionals, and this was in Region 1 where you have your South Lakes and your Coppells and Lakes. So it'll be a bit of a different landscape. You saw during the postseason in the fall just how strong that region was with with I forget the Westwood. It was Round Rock Westwood that wound up doing great. But you have Vandergrift's great. The Woodlands is always strong. I mean, that's not a region that should be lacking in any quality competition come regionals. But that'll be taking place down in Waco, I believe, in a couple weeks. And I don't know, were there any other notes you guys wanted to add?
I just had one more follow-up on the Colony. I forgot to mention this. I know they only finished second, the team of John Canavan and Ben Varghese, but this is pretty crazy. So their semifinals match to get to the championship match, they were actually down 5-0 in the third set and came all the way back from 5-0 in the third set to win the set to get to the championship match. And then obviously now they're moving on to regionals. So that's just that's like the equivalent of being down like 28-0 in the third quarter of a football game or something.
Or 28-3 in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. But yeah, pretty improbable comeback by that duo to get out and get their regional spot there.
Awesome. That was a very clutch play right there by those two Cougars. So that is I guess a rundown of just kind of where things are at as far as our local tennis programs. As the postseason rolls along on the tennis courts, still got one more sport to touch on. We'll do a quick line change and talk some golf in a moment.
Well, welcome back. As you can see, we've switched things up here. So I'm Justin Thomas, Denton County sports reporter, and I'm being joined by Brian Murphy, our Frisco guy, and Taylor Ragland, who does Allen and Lake Cities and Plano. So we're going to continue talking on some of the individual spring sports here, and right now we're going to focus a little bit on golf. Not everything has wrapped up in terms of district tournaments. I know the 8-5A boys will be out there this week.
Yep.
But I know, especially in 6A, and Brian, some of your teams are all locked up with their regional berths clinched and everything. So let's see how everything has gone so far for some of our local teams. Taylor, you want to start in 8-5A and touch on the girls tournament that has been completed?
Yeah, that's fine. The Lake Dallas girls last year in 14-5A, Lake Dallas actually swept runner-up finishes in boys and girls last year. Obviously the boys, the time we were recording this, we don't know, but the girls backed that up with yet another runner-up finish. They were really kind of pushed by, there's basically two girls that kind of really helped Lake Dallas and spearhead their effort. Carolina Kisiak, the coach's daughter, Joseph Kisiak, and Samantha Friday, both played really well. Shot in the low 80s both days, but head coach Joseph Kisiak said that there were a couple holes here and there that they could have shot even better, and it was really, I guess
they could have put Tiger Woods on the team, and I don't think they would have cut Justin Northwest at this tournament.
That Justin Northwest shot a 604.
604. They won it by 110 shots.
Yeah, so it wouldn't have mattered, but Lake Dallas did need to outpace the Colony, who ended up getting third, and I believe it was by like 25 strokes. So a pretty healthy lead for second place, but I think a lot of it came down to kind of the role players and the girls that play underneath Carolina and Samantha, because they're going to have decent outings every time they go out. I mean, they're not always going to shoot in the 70s, but they're going to, what you're going to get with them. So it becomes, especially in districts like this where it's all pretty even, it becomes about who else is going out there and scoring. And Anastasia White, especially for Lake Dallas, shot a 187. That helped a lot. Shot an 84 in round one, which was really good for her. And then they had Caroline Puig shoot 104.94 to help out as well. So, not a super strong district overall outside of Northwest, Lake Dallas, and the Colony. It kind of falls off a little bit from there. Denton, I think, was next closest with an 816, so, almost another 100 strokes or whatever.
Pretty clear-cut top three there.
But, so Lake Dallas goes through as a team, but I know you had a couple girls from the Colony.
They settled for third, but they did get a couple individuals, I should say. One of them has been to regionals before a couple times. That's Haley Yarbrough. She finished sixth. She had a very solid back-to-back rounds for the Lady Cougars to get in there. I believe she had rounds of 82 and 82, I think. And then the one I really wanted to touch on was they had a freshman that qualified, Chloe Ho, and she shot a 92 on the first round. She was consecutive 83s for Haley Yarbrough, by the way, to get sixth. She ends up finishing eighth. She shoots 92 on the first round, so she's 4 shots back of being in contention.
Right.
And then she ends up shooting at 81 on the second day. So she dropped 12 strokes off, and she ends up gaining in by 4 strokes. So it wasn't even really that close for her. So the Colony will have a couple of individuals headed out there as well. Brian, how about you? How's your Frisco schools looking in their 5A tournaments?
Northwest shot a 604.
604. Yeah.
Wait till we get to 9-6A and you see what Plano West shot, both boys and girls.
That would have won in the Frisco district for girls.
Yeah.
All right. So if y'all were to guess, out of the Frisco schools, ones that come to mind that are traditionally good at most sports, well, who would you think ran away with the girls golf title this year?
Man, I don't know.
It's not who
I
you
would just guess Wakeland.
I was going to say, if you offer me any Frisco
Liberty's been
hypothetical,
traditionally good in girls golf. Lebanon Trail.
Wow.
And they won big. They shot a 614. The next closest score was Centennial, your alma mater, with a 637. So, Lebanon Trail, they're coming off a year last year when they were in 4A with just freshmen and sophomores. They were the state runner-up. So they had this young talent, Madison Fung, leading the way. She shot a 145. She finished second overall in this tournament. But what's almost even more newsworthy than Lebanon Trail winning, the district title in their first year in that Frisco district is Liberty not making it to regionals.
Wow.
Because they've been a state qualifier from 2014 to 2018. Not a regional qualifier, a state qualifier.
Yeah.
And they got third by one stroke.
Man, golf is tough because, to get out of your district even, you got to be top 2 teams. I mean, if you just have a couple bad days, golf's such a fickle sport anyway. Like, it's...
And especially when you have a 10-team district.
Especially in a district as strong as like Frisco or some of the ones 6-6A, which I'm sure 9-6A.
I mean, 9-6A, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, Lebanon Trail, no seniors on the team. They're their best players are juniors. I don't see why they wouldn't do some damage.
Yeah.
In the regionals and the years to come. But yeah, big shout out to the Lady Trailblazers. I'm sorry to Liberty. I mean, I feel like I've done a story over Liberty girls golf each spring, and then this year it's going to be kind of weird. Them not being even at the regional tournament. So it's tough though. It's tough.
We just spoke about 9-6A and 6-6A and how, I guess, just kind of as a precursor, some of those, as you were kind of alluding to, some of those districts are so strong that where somebody's left out that would definitely be one of the top teams in the region. Like talking to some of my coaches in 6-6A girls, it seems to be a 4-team race for 3 spots, where it's 3-team race for 2 spots in district. So, how did things shake up at 9-6A for you guys? Man,
it was a dominant performance on both sides.
I know you had a long day out there.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it was a long day for the girls especially. But on both the boys and the girls sides, Plano West, man. I mean, you want to talk about Liberty being a kind of a perennial power. West the same way. West is usually very good at these spring sports. Tennis, golf, stuff like that. But man, it was a different level this year for Plano West. The boys shot a 576 to win their district championship, and the girls shot a 566 to win their district championship. So you think 604 is crazy for Justin Northwest.
Are they playing executive courses out there?
It's another 40 strokes off of that. So it was
that's impressive.
Pretty much wire to wire, start to finish, and the runner-up was McKinney Boyd on both sides too. So really no surprises at all on either side of 9-6A as far as the 2 teams. Those teams are always very good.
Boyd girls made state last year, if I recall.
Yeah, and they shot McKinney Boyd, second place, shot a 595 in the girls. So I mean, you're really talking about districts where
that would win a lot of districts.
You have to be perfect. You basically have to shoot under par as a team or close to even have a shot. And on the boys' side, it was 576, 598 for Boyd underneath Plano West. West also had both individual winners, Davis Fritz for the boys and Michelle Zhang for the girls. And that's kind of an interesting story on the girls' side. I mean, the boys' side, it's more of kind of, they lose the Cootie twins, who are both now playing at Texas. Talk about pretty cool to have your twin brother and both get recruited to Texas and go. They're already playing and doing well there. But so with their absence, it's kind of been a little bit of a, you don't want to call West an underdog, but in their minds especially, people have been kind of saying that they take a step back without the Cooties to kind of lean on and all that kind of thing. So I think it was kind of a statement for them to come out and win district, especially by as many strokes as they did, to get the individual champion and all that good stuff. So, they win district. Davis Fritz wins the championship. Prosper, actually, Marco Punzo, I believe, is probably how you say his name. Sorry if I got that wrong. And Mateo Trevino from Jesuit are the 2 individual qualifiers on the boys' side. And on the girls' side, the individual qualifiers, again, Prosper in 4th place with Haley Moore, but then Megan Winans, who, if you remember last season, Libby Winans, her older sister, who now plays at OU, won district regional state all the way through, swept everything. So see if there's maybe a repeat performance from a Winans there, but yeah, the West girls in particular were really kind of buoyed by, I think they got 3 girls come in, 1 at this semester and 2 in the fall that all scored and were all part of their top 4. So yeah, that's head coach Rick Hardison said it's been a while since they dominated both like that, but expecting obviously some good things from them at regional. So we'll see.
I had some pretty tight tournaments as well out in 6-6A out at Oakmont Country Club in Corinth. A couple weeks ago was the girls, and this was a really tight one. So Flower Mound wins the championship. They shoot 607. Coppell gets second at 609, and Hebron misses out with 611. So they were just 4 shots back of waning it. They ended up getting third and missing out, but they do get 2 individuals. Really cool story. Freshman Simran Shah, she has an older sister, Serena, who's playing at SMU now. She was a former regional champion, state qualifier individually. So her younger sister, Simran, comes in as a freshman and wins the district championship.
Wow.
Seems like there's a lot of that in golf for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of
It's a family thing,
Yeah, but very strong performance from her. Talking to Coach Campbell at Hebron, nothing that was really unexpected. You know, she and senior Jenny Park had kind of been going the top 2. Simran had never actually beaten Jenny in a tournament until this one. So Jenny is the senior. She ends up needing to win in a playoff she lost to Simran by 2 strokes, gets in a tie with a Marcus competitor. They have to go to a playoff, and Jenny Park gets a birdie on the 3rd playoff hole to win the play-in to get her at-large spot. So big feat for Jenny because she's a senior. She's been to state all 3 years. She made it with the team as a freshman and as an individual the last 2 years. So she gets to go to regionals and try to make it 4 for 4 making state. So, but yeah, the story was the Flower Mound girls. They pulled it off. It's the first time they've ever won a team district championship in golf. They're a very experienced team, and they were able to pull it off with a 607. So pretty good score. They had Lauren Crystal got 4th, Piper Frisbee 6th, Brooke Dishman 9th, her sister Kate Dishman 9th, and Allie Barth. So they had 4 of the top 10. So, and then the other team that's going is Coppell, and pretty cool thing about Coppell is they do not have one upperclassman on their team. Their entire team is all freshmen and sophomores. So to come into a district as competitive this with Hebron and Marcus and to get out and get to regionals without an upperclassman on your roster is pretty impressive for them.
Yep. I guess kind of one of the other stories with golf is regional sites moving around, and obviously that's important in golf because you're playing courses maybe that some of your players haven't seen or whatever, and there's a lot of that, especially in my coverage area. 9-6A being in Region 2 now has to go to Waco, for their regionals, and 8-5A, instead of being around here somewhere, they draw all the way out in Lubbock now. So it definitely affects, I feel like.
Rawls Golf Course.
Yeah, it definitely affects who can advance and the travel and all that kind of stuff. It's a weird scenario, but we'll see.
6-6A actually lucks out. They get to go out to Tangle Ridge and Grand Prairie there, so not too bad. Real quick, just to touch on the 6-6A boys that went down last week as well. Flower Mound got their first district title. Hebron boys get their first district title at the 6A level. They've won one before when they were a 4A team. They shoot 592 to win the 6-6A championship. Really tight race for second and third between rivals Marcus and Flower Mound. It ends up going Marcus's way. Flower Mound follows at 610. They just miss out. Tough luck for Flower Mound. They have a key player that had to withdraw after 9 holes on the last round. He would have had to just shoot an 81 that would have got Flower Mound out, but he had to withdraw, so they have to go to their 5th score. It didn't quite get it done. Talking to Coach Bailey over there, 81 sounds like something he would have been able to do quite easily, but injuries and illnesses happen in all sports, and it seems like it's more rare in golf, but it happened this year. And so Marcus takes advantage, and the big thing here was coming to the last hole. Marcus shoots 2 under par on the last hole. Flower Mound 4 golfers shoot 5 over on the last hole, so a 7-shot swing on the last hole.
Well, yeah, that's your difference right there.
Marcus in by 4 strokes over Flower Mound. But like on the girls' side, Flower Mound gets shut out of the team, but they still have both individuals going with Andrew Bailey and drawing a blank on the second guy's name right now.
Someone.
I'm trying to find it in my story. Someone got in, but
he'll be in the regional story.
Yeah, Daniel Schaffner.
There you go.
Sorry about that, Daniel, but yeah,
You're about to get a mean email from Daniel.
Andrew Zobel shoots 145 or 149, and Daniel shoots 150. So they both get in individually, finishing 7th and 8th. But Hebron and Marcus will be the teams. Marcus heading back. They made state 2 years ago. Last year they didn't make even get out of district. So good to see Coach Gable and them heading back to regionals this year.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think that'll about do it, right?
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us here on this Thursday edition of the Star Local Media Sports Podcast, and you will catch us next week. I'm guessing we'll be looking possibly at maybe some teams in the state soccer tournament. We'll see what happens this weekend.